Alright, so I know this episode was really short. It was really, really short. Um, but man, did they pack a lot of stuff in here that I was not expecting to see at all. So let's just dive into this. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strong from QuickTime Reactions, and it's Peacemaker Day, baby. Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 5, which is entitled Back to the Suture. I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's Suture, which is a mouthful. This episode was once again written by James Gunn, but we now have a completely new director on our hands, and the name is Alethea. I'm probably butchering that horribly. Jones. They were the person to direct this episode, and they did a pretty good job of directing this. Brief little synopsis is Peacemaker, he knows that he is going into a trap, essentially, with Argus, and he's just trying to clear things up with, everybody before he makes the inevitable decision of whether or not to stay in his universe or not. Meanwhile, of course, Argus is trying to hunt Peacemaker down so that, they can find out where the location of this portal is. Will they be able to get it out of him in time before he eventually takes that step and goes into the other dimension? We'll have to wait and find out. So, I mentioned last week in my running theme of every episode, besides episode 1, we once again open with a flashback. We once again flash back to 3 years before the current events that we're in, and we're at Rick Flag Jr.'s memorial / wake / celebration of life, and Flag is talking to Harcourt. Is basically like, I wouldn't necessarily say like trying to like poke and prod and like trying to figure out like, hey, but that is essentially what he is trying to do, is like, if you do know who killed my son? And she's like, even if I did know, I would not be able to tell you otherwise. And the exchange ends with Harcourt saying like, whoever did it, they are going to pay. And then of course we have our awesome intro, and then Chris shows up and he does every single move possible, because Judo Master is up in a really tall building with a big sniper rifle, which I thought that was going to be the biggest gun that we see in the whole episode. No, I was proven wrong later. We'll get to that. But he's got this big trank gun, and Peacemaker's doing everything in his power to just keep out of Judo Master's crosshairs. And even when he sits on the side of the bench where Judo Master has a clear shot, he swaps seats with Harcourt. So, and I love Judo Master's line. He's like, he got out of my line of sight. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. But Chris and Amelia have the conversation on the bench. She's like, did you really mean what you said? And Harcourt was like, I was drunk. I didn't mean any of it. Just I don't really care about you. End of story. And Argus has him surrounded. Peacemaker breaks one of the dude's arms and has him up in a fireman's carry and is just spinning around constantly. Judo Master tranked that same dude who got his arm broken, and Judo Master's like, he's constantly spinning. I don't have a good shot up here. Meanwhile, Bordeaux who it is revealed in this episode that she is part cyborg. She has a really good shot, but it is going to be very lethal. Harcourt doesn't like that, so she comes in and she actually manages to choke Peacemaker out. And Bordeaux, not really pleased at the fact that, she had a shot, she could have taken it and, followed through on orders, but that didn't happen. So Chris gets taken to Argus, and Flag puts him in like an interrogation room and tells Flurry to shut the blinds and get the cuffs off him, and just leave them alone, because Flag is gonna give him everything and then some. And boy howdy did Flag kick Chris's ass in that holding room. He kneed him so hard he broke the wall. He punched him so hard. It was just like, oh my god. I've seen Cena get manhandled in wrestling matches, but I've never seen him get manhandled like this. I was just like, holy moly. He got the absolute piss beaten out of him. Meanwhile, while all that's going on, Harcourt convinces Economos to book Chris, because if they book him, it'll be on the records, meaning that they're going to have some attention on it, meaning that they can't do it off the record, meaning that, Flag can make him, go bye-bye and there's no record of him for that. So Economos gets him booked, and they eventually, Argus lets him go because they didn't want him to go to a jail cell with his face all mashed up. So Chris is picked up by Adebayo and Adrian Vigilante, and they drive back to the cabin. Meanwhile, Geomaster is trailing behind them to get their location. Meanwhile, Red St. Wild is already at the cabin chasing after Eagly, and he tries a poison rat. That didn't work, and then he pulls out the biggest gun I have ever seen in my life. The barrel was maybe 10, 15 foot long, and I was just like, you don't really need that big of a barrel. I understand, maybe it helps build up speed, but you don't need that big of a barrel to do this. That's just overkill to the nth degree. And I just found that absolutely hysterical. And that's why I chose that picture of Red with the gun, carrying it like he's got, buckets of water on both ends. That's why I chose that image as the thumbnail for this video, because that is absolutely amazing. But when Red thinks he's killed Eagly, that is a mistake. Eagly called on all his friends, because if you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, to pull from a Marvel movie from a completely different time. And Eagly, he might actually be the primal eagle, because we see the flame pattern that we saw last episode when Red did his ceremonial dance. That shows up behind Eagly, and then all the eagles just maul Red to death, and that had to have been horrible. Not to shoot it, but horrible in the sense of that's a horrible way for a character to go, getting mauled by eagles. That's insane. Chris is pretty much done with this universe. He grabs the disc. It's not a disc, but he grabs the thing that controls the door, and he basically sets the disc to make the door in this world dimension basically shut permanently, so that he can't come back to this world. Judo Master, who again tailed them to the location, sees Chris go into the door, and he's like, I'm going to have to do this. So he follows Chris in. And of course, Adrian and Adebayo, they get there. They find Judo Master's note that he left, and they also find Chris's note that he left. And then, of course, Argus shows up way too late, and they are up Schitt's Creek without a paddle at this point. The 11th Street kids all have the thing that helps them with the dimensional door. Meanwhile, Chris is in that other dimension. He's going to fight a kaiju with his family, and it looked like it was the same exact kaiju from the Superman movie. So I don't know if y'all are just like reusing assets from, other DC projects, which is, to be fair, smart. But at the same time, we nerds, we notice this stuff. So don't think this went past my eyes. But I just found that funny. And so the 11th Street kids have made it their mission that they are going to get Chris back. They're going to get him from this other dimension. And that is where we end it, with Argus getting just basically their, like I said, up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. No Chris, no door. And the 11th Street kids have the ability to unlock that door and to go and get Chris and basically bring him back to this dimension. And there we have it. That is basically the end of what critics have already seen, because they were given screeners for episodes 1 through 5, and now we are in complete unknown territory. Gunn has said that episodes 6 through 8 are so absolutely insane that they were not given screeners, and he has also said that 6 and 8 are his favorite things that he has ever made. So we're gonna be having some fun the next couple weeks with these big revelatory episodes at the end of Peacemaker season 2. But that is my review of Peacemaker season 2 episode 5. I really enjoyed this episode. It was short, but it still packed a hell of a lot of punches, and it was a really fun watch, and it really sets up the last 3 episodes really, really well, with the 11th Street kids trying to, coerce Chris back to his home dimension. But until next week, guys, be safe out there, and just a bit of advice. If someone calls you and they ask if you know anything about, Greek or Greece, anything, that is your immediate clue to just hang up the phone immediately and to just delete that number and report it as junk, because you don't want to deal with those type of people. I'm just saying. And I will catch you guys next time.